The New England Patriots have serious problems to solve, but what is their biggest problem area? Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for Patriots Country. Reach out to me. Let me know what's on your mind on X at MDABATENFL. You can find me where the skies are blue over on Blue Sky at MDABATENFL.bsky.social. And Pats fans, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Pats fans, thanks so much for joining us here today. We have an intriguing show on tap for you on this Tuesday episode of Locked On Patriots as we continue to wallow in the mire of the Pats' 30-17 loss to the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday. I think we all have to acknowledge this defeat brought a lot of the Pats' biggest problems into glaring light. Yeah, they were big before. They got even bigger on Sunday. Is it coaching? Is it offense? Is it defense? Ownership, special teams, whatever you may think is the Patriots' biggest problem, that's what we're going to talk about here today. What is the biggest Patriots problem right now? And for some of you, that question may actually lead into whether or not Jerod Mayo, head coach of your New England Patriots, deserves to be on the hot seat. Yeah, Sunday was not the best of days for Jerod, without any question, but was this loss enough to legitimately put his job in jeopardy? And last but certainly not least, because we love to end on a high note, we're going to be talking Patriots must-keeps. Yeah, that's right, folks. You've heard of must-haves. We're going to do must-keeps. Those players on the Patriots' current roster that need to be there when they start things up in 2025. And, of course, I say we because those of you viewing on YouTube can already see. Those of you listening, I have a special treat for you. We missed him on Monday, but Tuesday has now become Tremendous Tuesday. The legend himself, my good friend, the Thomas Murphy Fisto, Thomas Murphy joins me today. Thank you so much for coming to me today in friendship, Don Murph.
Tremendous? How about twisted? How about...
Well, you know what? To each their own. We love alliteration.
Twisted Tuesday, tumultuous Tuesday.
Tumultuous Tuesday.
Tumultuous Tuesday. How about that? Another head scratcher. I get it, and I really do. And a lot of people are coming down on Alex Van Pelt right now for his play calling around the goal line. Over the weekend, and I've said it here. Mike's reiterated it. Spread it out and give Drake May an opportunity to find a run lane to get into the end zone when you're inside the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Alex, I'm not questioning you. I'm not saying that you should dive Drake May over the top for 2 yards to get into the end zone, although I would. But it's a weapon that you're ignoring.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Right now, I don't care if you're pulling for a better draft slot than you have, or anything else. Wins and losses are really, it doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What you have to be able to do is continue to develop and grow Drake May, which you've done a very good job of. You really have. I couldn't be happier. I was one of those guys at the beginning of the year where I thought this kid was going to have to sit the entire year. I thought, last Sunday would be his first game. He went out and proved himself early enough to get an earlier shot at it, and for the most part has looked very good as a rookie. But you have got to be able to let him decipher what he's looking at and make a choice.
Excellent point. I like that. So that leads me quite nicely into my question for you today. Do you believe this is the biggest problem for the New England Patriots right now? Maybe a little bit of lack of leadership on the coaching bench, or a lack of, as the late great Gorilla Monsoon would say, intestinal fortitude on the coach's bench to put this game in the hands of Drake May? Is that something that you believe is hindering this team right now from maybe being a little more successful than their 3-11 record?
Is it hindering this team? Sure, it is. But it's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the trenches.
Thank
We
you.
cannot run the ball. Okay, we
Mm,
cannot block. We cannot pass block, and we cannot stop the run.
mm,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hate when I do that. But the Patriots cannot run the ball. They cannot pass block. They cannot stop the run. And it's terrible. And it all starts in the trenches. I've said it for years and years that you build from the trenches. And right now, this team couldn't block a sneeze.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about this New England Patriots team and how many years
Yeah,
this team won battles in the trenches. That's where they beat teams, even maybe even more talented teams,
right,
maybe even dare I say better teams on paper, because they were so solid, not just on the offensive line, on the defensive line too. I'm
right.
going to get into that in just a moment, but I do think the offensive line needs to be addressed here, Murph, because I think you're absolutely right on this point. It is their most glaring need. You saw this on Sunday. It really left off the screen if you were watching this game at home. Badarian Lowe gets beat for a sack, gets beat
Oh
for a
my
tackle
God.
for a loss.
It's inexcusable. It
Mm,
really is, man. To go in there with your head down and just completely whiff the way that this kid did on Sunday is inexcusable.
yeah, absolutely. A very rough game for Badarian all the way around. He ended up allowing two quarterback pressures and missed on three attempts to stuff the run. You can't do that if you're a left tackle, especially when you're protecting a valuable young quarterback, a cornerstone, a must keep, if you will, folks. But it goes beyond just Vidarian. I don't want to just come at this and say the Patriots' left tackle position is terrible. That line needs an overhaul. And you've been
Yep.
saying it for months here on Locked On Patriots, beyond weeks. This has gone back into the summer, telling us about the deficiencies along this line. Layden Robinson had an up and down game, but you cannot be flagged when your
No.
team is driving on your first drive, put points on the board, put
Yep.
these Arizona Cardinals on their heels. That could have been huge. That was a momentum killer, as I called it here on Locked On
Yeah.
Patriots yesterday. Ben Brown, we've been singing his
Oh, come
praises.
on.
He has two low snaps. That
50
was
something years old, man, and I can keep the ball off the turf,
mm,
shotgunning a ball to a quarterback.
mm,
Come on.
yeah,
It's 101. I understand that Ben Brown's a guy off the street, but get it done.
yeah. The opposite side, the right side of Michael Wenu and
Yep.
Demontre Jacobs, they weren't as bad, but still not great. Michael Wenu, I think, has regressed.
The biggest problem with the offensive line is depth, and
Mm,
you're seeing the depth being asked to go out there and play starter snaps,
yeah.
and they can't do it.
Murph, we're not only seeing regression on the field when it comes to the offense, we're seeing regression on the field when it comes to the defense. This was a top 10 defense last year, top
Yep.
four against the run. At last check, the New England Patriots went from ninth to 30th in
30th.
DVOA this season. I know they've had personnel issues there as well. Christian Barmore being out was a huge
Yep.
problem there. Say what you will. I know Matthew Judon isn't exactly having the season of his life in Atlanta, but this is a guy that played solid for you in the
Right.
New England Patriots system every time he was out there. They're missing that presence. I think Keon White is giving a great effort. I think he's out of gas. He looks like he's been called upon to do more than he's
Right.
capable of at this point. And I think right now it's unfair, all the pressure that's been put on his shoulders. But guys like Anthony Jennings, guys like Jelani Tavai, guys like Daniel Aquale, these guys played at an optimal level last season, and
Yep.
they're not playing at an optimal level this year. That's a big surprise to me as well. Maybe not their biggest problem, but maybe their biggest surprise.
Yeah. Well, you know, Jerod Mayo has been passing the buck and then backing it off when it comes to the offense. He seems to almost coddle uh, Demarcus Covington. Uh,
Mm,
Demarcus Covington is a fine defensive line coach, which surprises me as to how poor this defensive line is playing.
mm,
But he's not a coordinator. He's not. This team misses that coordinator, and Gerard Mayo wasn't the coordinator either. All
mm.
right, last year that was Steve Belichick. Steve
Steve
Belichick
Belichick,
was
yeah.
out there making play calls. He was a guiding force over there.
Hmm.
I wasn't in the practice room. I wasn't in the film room with the defense. No, I'm not going to say that. So I'm not sure how much charge Mayo took on that side of the ball, because on Sunday afternoons it sure looked like it was Steve Belichick's call. Steve's not here.
Mm,
Steve's out west. Steve's getting ready to head to Carolina,
hmm.
and and that is sorely missed. Okay,
Mhm.
the Crafts really messed up in alienating him out the door. I realize that there's still one Belichick in the building, and he's not doing a fantastic job, but he's not doing the as poor a job as DeMarcus Covington. Change needs to happen this offseason with this
Mhm.
coaching staff. I'm not sure that it needs to happen with Alex Van Pelt. I really don't. I think that they've by design not done the things that we're asking for, and I think that's a mistake. And I think going forward that'll change. I think uh, the GM really messed up in his estimation of what an offensive line is, what wide receivers to go after, and also, but on the defensive side of the ball, there's no excuse when you have everybody back, and these guys cannot eat up space, shed blocks, and stop guys from getting to the second level.
Mm, very good point. All good points, folks. And unless I'm misunderstanding you, Murph, it sounds like coaching may end up being the biggest problem for the New England Patriots right now. Look, we all know that this is a rookie head coach with a relatively inexperienced staff. However, there is a level of accountability and continuity that you need in the coach's room when you're trying to rebuild. Do the Patriots have the right pieces in place? Is the primary piece in place the right choice? Should he be on the hot seat? As always, there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this situation. Murph and I are going to discuss whether the new HC of the NEP deserves to be on the hot seat when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast continues, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Every day.
Locked On listeners, nothing captures the holiday spirit quite like live sports and entertainment. And Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. And it just happens to make the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks, and that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all of that fluff to show you only the incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I particularly love Game Time's all-in pricing because toggling this feature shows the total up front so you don't have any surprise fees at checkout. So don't delay, do it today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Locked On listeners, get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Let your New England fandom work for you by visiting fanduel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win with your first $5 bet. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Pats fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots as we continue to break down the Patriots' 30-17 loss to the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday at State Farm Stadium. Folks, we've talked about this from an X's and O's standpoint, but I think this loss brought into sharp contrast a lot of the difficulties that the New England Patriots have had all season, and maybe it magnified quite a few of them. Murph, in the previous segment, we talked about offensive struggles, defensive struggles, communication struggles. Ultimately, all those arrows point back at the coaching staff. So it's a logical next step to believe that the coaching staff may be the Patriots' biggest problem. Not necessarily that these are bad coaches, but just maybe inexperienced for the type of rebuild that they were asked to lead. A lot of fans were very frustrated by the product that they saw on the field on Sunday. I warned about this back in August when this schedule was released. And I said that I had this game circled as one of the most important
Yep.
games for the Patriots on this schedule because I wanted to see how they were coming out of a late bye. We knew they probably wouldn't be in contention by this point, maybe even eliminated from the playoffs.
Sure.
They are. Do they come out strong? Do they come out playing hard? Are they giving every effort? We didn't see that on Sunday. And that is a direct correlation to the motivation they're getting in the coach's room. So that leads me to believe that there is a disconnect. This is not just about the level of play that we see on the field. This is about a lack of motivation that the players are feeling to go out there and to give their best effort. So, in that vein, Murph, if the coach's room, led by Jerod Mayo, is not doing their job up to capacity, does that mean that this coaching staff, including Mayo, deserves to be on the hot seat?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Jerod Mayo's been on my hot seat since the day he sat down next to Thunder, and they announced they announced that he was going to be the head coach. All right, I told you all, man. It's a hell of a lot different sitting in the catbird seat, wearing the crown, than being the assistant coach and being everybody's buddy and walking around telling RKK, I could do it better. I could do it. You can't. Okay, you've proved that you can't. Even though this offense has performed better than last year, I think they're averaging 2 or 3 points more a game. Okay, but when you go into an off season and you say if we only had decent line play, if we only had decent play from the quarterback position, and you end up with this,
Mm,
okay, it's terrible. The regression on the side of the ball that he grew up on. Okay, as a player, not really as a coach, because his coaching experience is about as limited as anybody that you could possibly imagine. Um, he wasn't like I said, he wasn't even a defensive coordinator. This was not my first choice for this job. Now the question is, do you want to become the Cleveland Browns? Okay, do you
mm,
want to become one of those teams that just completely recycles uh, GM, quarterback, and head coach year after year after year? And no, you don't. So I don't think that the Crafts are going to make a move and move
mm,
him out, but they should.
mm,
Okay, there's an opportunity right now to go out there and interview people and bring somebody with a fresh take in here. I still do not know why people keep clamoring for Mike Vrabel to come
mm.
in here. What did Mike Vrabel ever do in Tennessee? One of the weakest divisions in football while he was coaching there. He didn't win a lot. What gets me is that people keep talking about Mike Vrabel and how he's a taskmaster and a hard ass. That's who you just drove out of here,
Very
Boston
good point.
media. That's who
Mm,
you just drove out of here, and now you're saying that's the answer. No, I'd look out to Washington's head coach. I'd beg Josh McDaniels to come back in some way, shape, or form. Maybe Josh would come back if Vrabel was the head coach. But no, last year I wanted Flo. I wanted Flo to come in here and run this. He had experience as a head coach. I thought he did a pretty good job down there in Miami, and I thought he would have taken that to the next step. But no, the Crafts decided to go with the guy who went to Israel with them and was quite impressive and learned how to coach in a boardroom.
mm.
So, you get what you get. But no, he should be on the hot seat. I don't think he is.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. I think for the Crafts to admit that they jettisoned, and let's face it, folks, that's exactly what happened. We've seen Robert Kraft now make a couple of slip ups and admit that it was indeed his decision to let go of Bill Belichick. The mutual parting of ways
Yeah.
narrative does not really hold up anymore. Um, I think for them to admit that they made the wrong decision and clean house would be disastrous for this franchise.
Yeah.
Because again, like you said, it's regressing them into one of the also rans in the NFL.
Yep.
Oh, it's broke. We got to fix it right away, tear it down, build a new one. And you have that consistent carousel of head coaches
I'm
that
not
comes
saying
through this
don't
way.
do it, but you got
Mm,
to hit a home run with this next swing. You've got to. It's 3 balls, 2 strikes, and you've got to hit a home run with this next swing.
right.
Otherwise, that's the road that you're going to go down.
Mm. If we do indeed believe that Mayo is not on the hot seat, then my question to you is, Murph, what beyond just being a rookie head coach and needing more time and maybe needing additional personnel have you seen from Jerod Mayo that leads you to believe this guy can be what we want him to be. Maybe he's not there yet. Maybe we threw him out there and put his feet to the fire far too quickly. But is there a spark there that you see that leads you to believe that he can be a solid head coach in this league if such and such happens?
If you get a little good feeling stuff happening,
Mm,
he is kind of a rah rah guy. He is kind of a slap you on the butt kind of guy. Um, I do believe that he connects with the ball players that are in that locker room. It just hasn't translated, and that goes back to talent. If he has the talent and gets a little success under his belt, I think he's somebody that can keep momentum going.
hmm
But there hasn't really been a lot of momentum. There really hasn't been a ton of good feeling in that building this year. And I've it's really difficult, like I said, from being everybody's friend to having to be the bad guy.
mm
It's also, I mean, the way that this team, top to bottom, from Robert Kraft to Mayo, walked around with their chests pumped out, and we're gonna go and we're gonna burn some cash, and we're gonna, the whole list, from the documentary to to everything else. I don't know how you move along in a positive way, but they're going to have to figure something out. And like I said, I think Mayo has the respect of the players, um, but I don't think the players that he has available to him right now can execute in the way that he needs them to. There
mm.
needs to be a serious upgrade. I think with an upgrade in talent, he can be a good coach.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Patriots fans believe that. I know there's a lot of frustration right now when it comes to Jerod Mayo. And look, I will give him the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. This team is devoid of talent. I said that yesterday here on Locked On
Yep.
Patriots. No one's questioning that. There are a tremendous amount of holes that need to be filled in order for this team to even be competent, let alone a contender. So you always look at what the head coach has to work with and you say, okay, well, he inherited a bad roster. If you want to believe that, fine. I think he inherited more talent than people are giving him credit for. But at the same time, this unit is not designed to work together. It needs to be molded in his image. So if you want to give him time to be able to do that, I'm fully in support of
You're going
that.
to run out of time, though.
Exactly. And here's where I think that goes off the rails. It's the impression you're giving to your fans and to the
Yep.
media. I know it shouldn't count, but it does count, Murph. It absolutely does. And when you hear him make comments like, you said it, I didn't,
Yeah.
about your offensive coordinator at the podium,
Yep.
you hear him call his team soft the way he did a couple of months ago,
Yep.
it sends the wrong message. It damages your image. And again, it declares open season on this coaching staff and on this organization from the media and the fan base. You need to do a much better job running this team and keeping that focus on you, on the field, and on winning. Anytime you have any type of distraction like this, especially for a 3-11 team, it's going to make matters 10 times worse. And you're seeing that right now.
Jerod Mayo said back in August, that Alex Van Pelt is the offensive head coach here,
Mm,
and it just seems like he is taking no accountability for the power that he has to change the direction and play calling.
right.
Um, I thought it was a very unfortunate statement. We could change the name of Monday's show to Walk It Back Monday. All right, just walk back whatever Gerard said the day
I like that.
before, because that's become the theme.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't think he's handled the media very well. I don't think he's handled another thing that I warned you about. This was the transparency that you all wanted.
mm,
Okay, you wanted a head coach that spoke his mind, and I think he did speak his mind. I think in the back of his head he was thinking, why don't we run Drake in from here? And but he left it up to Alex Van Pelt,
mm.
and that's the way it is. And I think it was very unfortunate that he did that to Alex Van Pelt on behind the podium, no matter what he said on Monday morning.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Monday morning quarterbacking is always good for walking. I like that walk it back
Yeah,
Monday. I think, we might use that, Murph. We're
walk
gonna we're
back
gonna keep
Monday.
that on
Yep.
exactly. But at the same time, you're seeing that repeatedly, and you can't have that.
Mm.
You are the head coach now, for better or for worse. rookie head coaches are going to make mistakes, no question about it, not just on the field, but when it comes to missteps and
Yep.
miscommunications and things of that nature. But you have to remember that you're the guy now. The accountability is yours. The buck stops at your desk. And if you continue to cultivate this team image in this manner, it makes people think there's no control. You've got guys on the team right now that are laughing and smiling post game after a loss. You've got a head coach that's doing a radio appearance on Monday morning, laughing and joking after what was a pretty bad loss
Yeah.
to the Arizona Cardinals. All of it promotes a bad image. And for lack of a better term, you need to learn that. You need to be able to do that. So I think for Jerod to make that next step, there not only needs to be an improvement on the product you're seeing on the field and a much needed upgraded roster, but I think he has to do a better job of accepting the full accountability for the image of this
Right.
team, because as head coach, it's all on you.
Right. And it only hurts 2025.
Mhm.
It really does.
Absolutely.
If you do want to make any coaching changes and you're keeping Jerod Mayo as the head coach, all right, what coordinator is going to want to come here when this is what gets said about them on the podium afterwards?
Exactly.
What players are going to want to come here when they're going to hear what they had a bad game? Well, we're soft.
Mhm.
Okay, I said it before. That's okay to say in the locker room or
Right.
say in a meeting room. It's not okay to say standing behind the podium.
Yeah.
And can't believe it. You know, there are a lot of people in this town who are wishing that we were on to Cincinnati. Nope,
Mhm.
we're on to Cincinnati. You
Mhm.
know, that's it. And
Yeah.
but this is it, folks. This is what you asked for.
And that leads me quite nicely into our wrap-up discussion today here on Locked
Okay,
On Patriots. Murph, you know we like to end on a high note, and that's
that's
exactly
it.
what we're going to do, because it's been a lot of negativity so far on this tumultuous Tuesday. It went from terrific Tuesday to tumultuous Tuesday, folks, but we're going to redeem it a little bit in just a moment, because we're going to talk about those players currently on the roster that the Patriots should do everything they can to retain. It's a little too easy to say Drake May and Christian Gonzalez, so we're going to leave them off the table. We know they're your cornerstones. But what other Patriots absolutely need to be back if this team's going to make a step forward in 2025? Murph and I are going to reveal our choices on the matter when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, it's that time of year. The college football playoff is back, and with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. That leads into our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots on this tumultuous or terrific Tuesday, depending on your perspective. And joining me today is my good friend Thomas Murphy, the legend himself, back by popular demand. Murph, we've talked a lot of negatives when it comes to the New England Patriots so far. We've talked about their biggest problems. We've discussed whether or not Jerod Mayo and this entire coaching staff deserves to be on the hot seat. But as Nathan Jessup would say, Murph, there are certain players where even deep down in the soul of Patriots Nation, in places we don't like to talk about at parties, there are players that we want on that wall. We need on that wall. And we're going to need them on that wall in Foxborough or on that hill that they have to
Yep.
run on the practice fields in order to bring this team forward and help them make a step forward in 2025. Quarterback Drake May, absolutely cornerstone, essential for this team moving forward. He's your franchise quarterback, folks. You've got a franchise defender in Christian Gonzalez at the cornerback position on the opposite side of the ball. So let's put them aside. They're your two pedestal players right now. But this roster is full of guys that may deserve a shot or may not deserve a shot. Who on this team right now would you say is a must keep, meaning the Patriots have to have them next year in order to progress in 2025?
Antonio Gibson.
Very good choice.
More Gibson, more better. Gibson had another phenomenal day. He had 2 receptions for 31 yards. He had 7 carries for 33 yards. When he's on the field, you're able to do so much more. Now, I'm not getting on Ramondre, although we could for down at the goal line. I'm sorry,
Mm,
you're the number one back. You're getting paid all this money. You're the guy that's supposed to get in there, even though the blocks aren't there. Okay, you can't go into a goal line sideways. All right. But no,
sure.
Antonio Gibson is one, and the other one that I'm going to give you, it's also on the offensive side, which is really scary. Austin Hooper. All
Very
right.
good
I think
choice.
Austin Hooper has had a fantastic year. Toss out there to Classy Claire Cooper, with Austin Hooper.
Mm. Hoopa drives the boat, Murph. Maybe
Hooper
he
drives
will
the
be
boat.
driving the boat in 2025. No,
Yep.
all kidding aside, I think Austin's been. I think he's been excellent. You're seeing that pass catching prowess, that
Yep.
ability to work the middle part of the field. This is what they brought him in for. This is why I was a big proponent of bringing him in a few years ago. I thought this kid
Yep.
coming in here could be a major upgrade and a big help for this tight endage group. He has done a great job. So tip of the cap on both of those, especially on Antonio Gibson, because I love this kid's running style. And the more you see of him, the more you realize what a perfect fit he is in what the Patriots are trying to do with outside zone. Honestly, I think he may be even a better fit in this system than Ramondre. And I think Ramondre is a great fit in this
Yeah.
system. That's taking nothing away
Right.
from Ramondre Stevenson, but Gibson's ability to receive out of the backfield may give him a little bit of a nod. So you got a good 1-2 punch there when it comes to the running back room. I'm going to stay on offense, and I'm going to go with my man Hunter Henry. I think
Okay.
Hunter has been an
Shock.
invaluable part of what this team has done offensively this year. Whenever Drake has needed someone to calm
Yep.
him down, to be a go-to guy, a reliable target, Hunter is always there. I've been very impressed by the upgrades this kid has shown with blocking. I've covered him since
Oh
he was a
yeah.
rookie back into the time when I was on the Chargers beat and covering him out in LA. Blocking was never going to be a strong suit of
No.
Hunter Henry, and he's still got a ways to
It's
go.
not a
But
weakness anymore. No.
thank you. I'm so glad that you said that. Very well said. He's really turned this part of his game into something that now he can be relied upon
Yep.
to throw a block or two. He knows the team needed it and needed it desperately, and he
Right.
stepped up. This is what a captain does. This is what a solid leader does, and I think Hunter has been that. I also want to give him a tip of the cap. He totaled 61 receptions with a catch on Sunday. That is a new career high. His
Wow.
previous career high was in 2020 with the LA Chargers. I was no longer covering him with the Bolts, but glad to see him in New England, and I hope he remains in New England for the foreseeable
Yep.
future. He's going to eclipse his single season receiving yards as well. He only needs 18 yards to do that. I think he gets it this week against the
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills. He currently has 635, so good luck, Hunter. We need something to smile about when this game takes place on Sunday between the Bills and the Patriots. So hopefully Hunter getting that record will be that moment. But Murph, conspicuous by their absence. You haven't mentioned any must-keeps on the defensive side of the ball. Before we take our leave of this subject, is there anybody on defense that you, other than Christian Gonzalez, that you say needs to be here in 2025?
Of course, Christian Barmore.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the easy way out here, folks. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
Christian Barmore needs to come back. Devin Gottschall needs to come back.
Mm,
It's a little hypocritical of me after I took these guys to task earlier in the game. Gottschall did have 6 tackles. Barmore, I think, is still working his way back.
mm,
He missed so much time that yeah, of course, and he's under a huge contract, and unfortunately the guys that I named on the offensive side of the ball are not.
mm,
They're not extended. This is the only year that's on their deal. I don't think
mm.
Hooper's signed for next year.
He's not. He's on a one-year
He's
deal
not.
right now.
Yeah. So, and so is Gibson. I think it's going to be a little bit difficult because Antonio Gibson, once again, has shown people that you give him the opportunity, he is going to come in and take advantage of it and do good things.
Yeah, I do not blame you one bit for going with Christian Barmore on the defensive side of the ball. I almost put him up there as a pedestal player, especially knowing what the Patriots defense looked like before Christian
Right.
came back, and now what it looks like as he's getting his legs back. So I agree with you there. Godchild, I think, is a very good choice. I'm going to throw Marcus Jones' name into the
All
hat
right.
as
Yep.
well. Look, Marcus has had his issues in the slot. I know a lot of people are worried about his size, being undersized when it
Right.
comes to being a slot defender, but this kid's speed makes up for it. Taking out what he does for you in the return game, which is dynamic,
Right.
I really think there is a solid corner when it comes to this kid. Once again, these are players that may not already not be going anywhere, but just players that Murph and I are identifying as you need to keep them, do anything you can to make sure they're happy and healthy here in New England, because you're going to need them on the field moving forward. Folks, who are your must keeps? We'd love to hear from you. If you're viewing us on YouTube, drop us a comment in the section below. If you are listening on the various platforms on which you can listen to Locked On Patriots, drop us a line at LO_Patriots on X, and you can let us know exactly who you'd like to see stick around, and mention that you heard it here on Locked On Patriots. But in the meantime, I want to thank my good friend, the legend himself, for lending his wisdom, his counsel, and his insight the way only he can. And we are honored to have you here each and every week. Before I let you go, quickly let everyone know where they can reach out to you and what you got marinating in Murph's kitchen this week.
Oh, you can reach out to me on Zitter at tmurph207. Also over there where the blue skies are, the gray skies are clearing up to blue skies at the same thing, tmurph207.
Absolutely, folks. Wherever Murph puts pen to paper or voice to microphone, you want to check it out. Usually when it's voice to microphone, he's right here on the airways of Locked On Patriots. But anything the man does, I cannot recommend highly enough. And of course, I want to give a special tip of the cap to all of you everydayers out there. All of you Locked On Patriots loyalists that continue to make the pod possible, thank you for sticking with us. We got some exciting things planned for you before the end of the year and, of course, into 2025. Most notably, the return of Mock Draft Monday. Going to be our 6th year doing this, Murph.
Yep.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's nowhere near enough. We love it, and we can't wait to kick it off.
Right.
And, of course, keep it right here, because we are about to pivot our attention and focus on the Buffalo Bills, including a crossover with our good friend Joe Marino. It's been way too long since Joe and I have chopped it up on these airwaves. We can't wait to hit that microphone. So definitely subscribe, follow, download wherever you get your podcasts. You don't want to miss a single second of the action. On behalf of my good friend Thomas Murphy, I'm Mike Debate, reminding you to stay safe, stay well, be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.